You are live. All right. Hopefully that audio is working. What have we got here? If you are watching, I don't know how to tell if anyone's watching live. It's disappeared. But if you are out there, throw something in the comments for me in the live chat. Oh, good. Thanks. Lucky camera straps. Sounds great. That means my audio is working. I assume you can see me because I can see me too. I wasn't going to go live again until next week, but I figured, hey, what's the harm in putting more practice in? So here we are. I thought that I would jump on and just talk through a couple of follow-up questions that there were from Tuesday's video that I put together. So I'll jump across to that first, I think. Let me work out how to get this. Share this tab. Add to stage. Okay, is that what I want? Is that what I want? Doesn't really make a difference, does it? So we're talking about binge eating at the end of the night, chocolate, chips, stuff like that after dinner. Hello. So get off my digital lawn. I'm here. Sorry I'm late. You know what, Tony? You weren't late. I pushed it back and I pushed it back and I pushed it back because apparently it takes longer to get ready than what I realize. Hello, Jim. Thanks for tuning in. As I said, I'm going to answer some questions from Tuesday's first. So Eilish's response just highlighted there. Love the advice. We were downloading a meal tracker and found a breakfast that I can meal prep to ensure that it's better for me. I will keep you posted. You better. A lot is mind over matter. Chocolate has a hold over me. And it's interesting to say that too, because it can be mind over matter. But if you set yourself up for the best success possible, which is those balanced meals across the day, it's less about being mind over matter and more about just setting yourself up for success. So I don't know if chocolate necessarily has a hold over you or whether it's just that thing that you come back to when you feel hungry or your brain wants more food. Now, what I didn't say on Tuesday, which I'm going to flow on with now, is something that I actually had to teach myself a lot in the past. Let me come back out of here so I'm big. In the past, when I found that I would binge eat after dinner, you know, there's chocolate in the cupboard or chips in the cupboard or something like that. Eventually, I started realizing if there was chocolate in the cupboard and I was eating that chocolate, I was having half a block of chocolate, say, and that might be 500 calories. And the thing I realized was what's actually better for my health and how I feel tomorrow and recovery, inflammation prevention, things like that, was looking at those 500 calories of that chocolate that didn't actually make me feel very good after a little bit of it, and actually going, could I just have a second dinner? Is my body craving something different? Does it really want this sugar? Or can I apply these 500 calories to a second serve that's balanced with protein, carbs, and fats to give my body actually probably what it's looking for in terms of a full meal that satisfies me without using 500 calories on something that you don't feel like you're in control of. So like you say, mind over matter, Eilish, maybe it's less about that and more just about how can we switch this out, and maybe one row of chocolate and a entire other meal might be more beneficial for you than potentially eating all the chocolate or half the chocolate or a bag of chips or whatever it might be. So that's that thought process there. How can I guess I would look at it like, how can I reallocate these for myself instead of eating this food? Eilish then had a follow-up question, which was, what tracker would I suggest and what is the average target calories suggested? Do I need to book in for a nutrition plan? So I'm going to give very general advice here. To start with, let me find, there's two apps that I like to use, or one that I like to use and one that I recommend people use when I have worked with them in the past for nutrition accountability. MyFitnessPal does have a good coach back end service where I can go in and see what you've been eating, how you've been tracking your food, stuff like that. So MyFitnessPal would be one of those recommendations. You certainly don't need to have the paid version. The free version is more than enough. Otherwise, Easy Diet Diary, and I'll just share that screen. So this is an Australian company, I believe. At least a lot of the data that's in there feels less American, more Australian. So Easy Diet Diary is the one I personally use. I'm not going to go ahead and recommend set amount of calories for anyone in this moment right now, because often what you'll find is you need to work out what you're currently eating. And if you're currently eating a certain amount consistently and you've been tracking and you know how much that is, if you've been putting on weight, that is a calorie surplus. If you have been losing weight, that is a calorie deficit. And if you've been maintaining the same weight with the food that you've been eating for a period of time, we could refer to that as maintenance. So quite often people don't really understand where their maintenance is. So there's not a set number there's a starting baseline or calculation you can do to sort of work out where you might be, but it really does depend. Activity levels during the day, stress levels, how hard you're working in those activities that you're doing as well, how long you're awake for, how long you sleep for, different things like that. So not necessarily is there a set standard that I would give to someone. I would want to see some tracking to start with to understand where you might currently be at. What else do I want to say about that? Outside of that, I had something else to tell you, Eilish. What was it? Oh, no, it wasn't you, Eilish. It was just in general. If you don't regularly weigh yourself either, you probably don't know whether you're consistently maintaining weight, whether you're losing weight, whether you're gaining weight. So that's another little piece of data or tracking that you can do in terms of weigh yourself at the same time every day. If you want to get specific objective data, if you're one of those people though that gets caught up in that number, I'd encourage you not to. That's a nice simple way to answer that. But outside of that, it might not be the best step for you to start with if that is something that you get caught up in. Now, from there, those couple of questions, I think that was it. Outside of that, I had another comment. It was just from Jim, who's in here, and he said, thank you. Sorry, I missed it. Thanks for doing this one. Are Maltesers considered a meal, Tony? Do you really want me to answer that, or would you like to put the answer in the chat for that? Have a look at the back of the packet. See what the breakdown is of micro, macro nutrients. See what the ingredients is, and come back to me as if you would believe that's considered a meal or not. Did actually have... share this tab instead. I don't know how to zoom in anymore on this. Not that. Yes, that, maybe that. I don't know if you can see this. Apparently I can't zoom in anymore. No. Anyway, on the screen, if you can see it, rough breakdown. If you're looking on a way to how to balance your meals with that, I'll go buy another bottle packet to get the info. Please don't do that, Tony. The answer is no. It's not considered a meal. I've got some calories on the screen, or some just like guiding numbers: 400 calories, 500 calories, 600 calories, 700 calories. This is just a breakdown example of, on Tuesday I said, for balanced meals, a good starting point recommended by CrossFit is 40% carbs, 30% protein, 30% fat at each meal that you have. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner there. Depending on how many calories is in those meals, because like I said, I'm not giving out like a overall calorie range for people, but just as a general, to give you an idea, if I'm eating 2,000 calories a day, I'm having that spread across 4 meals. So breakfast, lunch, afternoon meal, and dinner is generally the way I go about it. So if I'm having 2,000 calories, the average per meal is 500 calories. So I just wanted to show this here. This is a simple breakdown of what 40% carbs, 30% fat, and 30% protein actually looks like when you're tracking your meals. So for me, for a 500 calorie meal, 40% carbohydrates would be around 50 grams of carbs. 40 grams of protein in that meal would be around 30% protein, and 15 grams of fat would be around that 30% fat as well, for a total of 500 calories. Now, there's different things here too, because you can see just the variance slightly in, obviously less calories, slightly less of each macro, more calories, slightly more of each macro. But each one of these is a percentage. 30% protein across the board based off the total calories, 40% carbs across the board based off total calories, and 30% fats across the board based off total calories. Important to understand with that starting point. I think the thing most people would generally struggle with, though, is getting enough protein at each meal. People might have protein at their meals, but I often find when I've worked with people in the past, they are getting protein, but they might be getting half of what would be recommended. So in fact, instead of 30%, they're getting 15%. And that differing percentage in those meals with those calories is made up generally by more carbs or more fats rather than protein. What are your thoughts on the new upside down food pyramid in the USA? So last week, the USA released a new food pyramid. It's like they went back in time to that South Park clip and decided to follow the guidance from one South Park episode. Let me see if I can find it online. The reason why I like the look of it, USA new food pyramid, is because it's very closely, structured in the way CrossFit has their nutrition standards or guidelines. So it actually is the first time I've seen it probably properly align with what CrossFit prescribes for baseline nutrition. And we all know nutrition, well, we don't, you might not know, but in CrossFit, the nutrition is the base of the pyramid. And that's like setting the foundations, and everything, your fitness and your health builds on top of that. So you wouldn't build your house without a solid foundation. So why not consider nutrition as the solid foundation for your health? Let me see if I can get this to open bigger. Gosh, ads. I won't spend too much time on this because I'm sure that could be a different episode where I talk more specifically about the pyramid in CrossFit and then therefore this nutrition pyramid. But last week, this is what the USA released. They essentially flipped their pyramid, and right now it's upside down because eat more foods at the top, meat, dairy, healthy fats, vegetables, fruit, and eat less of those items at the bottom. So looking towards the whole grains. Obviously, it's America, but sometimes, or quite regularly, Australia finds themselves aligning with this general take on things too, in terms of government implemented protocols going forward. I'm going to get off that and just show you one other thing. Oh gosh, why is that blurred out? Images. CrossFit is 100 words of fitness. Or fitness in 100 words, I should say. Just want that to be bigger. All right. And the first sentence, I guess you would say, of fitness in 100 words is eat meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, a little starch, and no sugar. And that is the simple nutrition protocol that CrossFit put out there 25 years ago in terms of how to be healthier. I'm going to spend another live talking about all of that because that's not what I really came on here to talk about today. I wanted to answer Eilish's questions. I wanted to follow up with, get that off there. I wanted to follow up with some conversation that came up this morning, and that conversation was in line with one of the questions that Nikita provided to me in the comments. Now, if I just add it in here. Oh, it's too long for the whole thing, but that's okay. All right, this is Nikita's question on my Instagram post. When I'm doing a WOD, why is focusing on the intended stimulus important? Why shouldn't I just go as hard or as heavy as I can go? Tips on how to know if I'm scaling appropriately versus under or over scaling, and then it finishes off with in a workout. So I wanted to talk about that today. We had a workout in classes this morning, or today's programming, that probably I can provide some examples of how stimulus and intensity worked today for those classes that I had this morning. Why is focusing on the intended stimulus important? So to start with, the stimulus is what drives the adaptation in fitness. So there'll be a certain specific stimulus for a workout based off what's required. Might be move fast and quick. It might be like slower but heavier, so load is changed there, or skill is increased there. Or it might be somewhere in the middle where it's moderate speed, moderate load, where you can move consistently, but you're not taking long periods of rest or anything like that. Why shouldn't I just go as hard or as heavy as I can go? So the reason why we would say that is if the stimulus wants you to move unbroken or go as fast as possible, and you find yourself going heavier than what will allow you to do that, you've lost the stimulus from that workout. Now, the stimulus changes day to day. So if every day you go into class and stimulus on Monday is lift heavy, stimulus on Tuesday is move fast, stimulus on Wednesday is moderate, and you go heavy on Monday, and then you go heavy because you want to go heavy again with the weight on Tuesday instead of fast, and then you go heavy again because you want to go heavy again on Wednesday, and you're not moving at a moderate pace for the workout. You've done heavy, heavy, heavy 3 days in a row, and you've missed that important variance of the CrossFit programming, which is changing daily to allow you to attack all parts of your fitness there. So I'm going to use today's workout as an example. Let me pull this up. Share this tab, add to screen. So today we had a workout, 15-minute AMRAP, 5 wall walks, 20 ab mat sit-ups, 20 hang dumbbell snatch, 20 dumbbell step back lunge. Now with that workout, the target was 3+ rounds. So that's moving at a sub 5-minute pace per round. The minimum, well, I guess the target and the minimum are very similar. If you're quite advanced at these movements, we're looking for 4+ rounds, so sub 4-minute rounds. Now, what that means for most people is you have to be consistently able to do 5 wall walks in a row, consistent ab mat sit-ups, and then be able to hit these 2 movements as close to unbroken as possible. If you were to choose a weight that is on the heavier side for you, you might end up doing this in 2 or 3 sets, and so we've lost the stimulus of it being moderate weight, fast, unbroken, hang on. And then again with the step back lunges, if you've got to break these up and you're not hitting them unbroken, you've missed that stimulus of being smooth, consistent, unbroken, moderate pacing through this workout to maintain across the entire thing. Now, the reason why I wanted to pull this up, I thought it was a perfect example of sometimes people get caught up going, well, I can move the dumbbell weight. I can hang dumbbell snatch at 22.5 or a 15. I just wanted to come in and show an example of how decreasing the weight in a workout isn't necessarily a bad thing for you and can actually provide you a higher intense workout, therefore greater fitness gains without losing anything other than the letter that you say at the end, RX or S. RX, as prescribed, I did it as written, or scaled. I changed something slightly to allow me to maintain the stimulus of this workout. So perfect example today, I've got 2 people in class. Bob did 4 rounds plus 4 reps at a scaled weight, 17.5 kilo dumbbell, and Joe did 3 rounds plus 24 reps at the RX weight, 22.5 kilo dumbbell. Now I'm just going to do some math here just quickly, because the thing that I'm looking at too, so Bob, we can see 4 rounds plus 4 reps. So I can tell you right now, Bob did 24 wall walks. Joe did 3 rounds plus 24 reps. So he's done 20 wall walks, which you can tell from the less rounds as well. Now, what I was in particular really interested in, because it's often the weight that people get caught up in. They don't necessarily mind scaling down reps of higher skill movements, but when they can do the load, they want to stick with the prescribed weight to say that they did the RX weight. And this was a perfect example today of how a scaled weight in a workout actually gave Bob more load shifted across the entire workout than what Joe got with his RX version of the workout. So just some quick math. We would look at, so it's 20 hang dumbbell snatches every single round. So Bob in total, 4 lots of 20, 80 dumbbell snatches. 80 snatches at 17.5 kilos is 1,400 kilo. That's the right word, isn't it? 1,400 kilos shifted today. So that's the total weight shifted for that dumbbell in that particular movement. Now, Joe did the RX weights. He did 3 rounds plus 24 reps, which means that he got almost all the way through the ab mat sit-ups there today. So if we go, take that over here, 3 rounds of 20 dumbbell snatches, because that's as far through as Joe got, is 60 total reps. And he did them at 22.5 kilos. So 60 times by 22.5 is total load shifted of 1,350 kilos. So at the end of this 15-minute workout today, I can tell you right now that Bob shifted more total load than Joe did, even though Bob did a scaled version of the workout. So this is where stimulus becomes really important in these sorts of workouts, where it's like, just because the weight says a prescribed RX weight doesn't mean that it's the right weight for you if you can't move that weight at the intended stimulus. So today the brief was 5 wall walks, should be able to do them in under a minute, smooth and consistent with your ab mat sit-ups, unbroken hang dumbbell snatch, and then unbroken step back lunges. Now, with that in mind, Bob made a decision. Okay, unbroken hang dumbbell snatch. Maybe I could for the first round do 20 unbroken, but maybe things will fall apart and I'll lose the intended intensity, therefore the stimulus from this workout as things progress. So Bob made the choice to go down in weight, and at the end of the workout, shifted those 1,400 kilos. Joe made the choice to hit the weight at RX, and at the end of the workout actually shifted less weight than what Bob did. Now, I'm not saying either of these are wrong, because it's the week that is laid out in front of you based off how you've attacked each workout as to whether or not Joe would have benefited more from a lightweight today, or whether tackling that RX weight was appropriate. And at the end of the day, the target was 3+ rounds, and Joe performed 3+ rounds there. So he got the amount of work he completed the amount of work that was required in this workout today. But it's just a nice understanding for people to see it broken down like this. Bob also completed the desired amount of work plus some more, and actually worked, I guess you could say, harder by shifting more weight total over the workout from the day. So it's just an interesting way to have a look at your workout after the fact. Is there a way that things could have been better for either of these people? I think the workout was still fine for both of them. It's just interesting to see that at the end, let's say Joe had done a 17.5 kilo dumbbell instead, maybe Joe would have pushed into 5+ rounds. And in those 5+ rounds with that 17.5 kilo, he then would have shifted more weight, moved at a greater intensity, improved his fitness faster over time. So intensity is the key to fitness. The stimulus is the key to intensity, and it all flows into each other. Did I want to say anything more about that? If you've got questions about any of this, or you've got something that you want an example for, pop it in the comments or ask me somewhere. It's nice to be able to take the time to actually explain this. For many of you that are in class, you'll notice that, I can't stand in front of the whiteboard for 15 minutes and explain this to everyone. But if I get this chance right now to do it, it does help you learn over time what might be the appropriate thing to do in a specific workout, or at least help you start ask the question, like, what am I trying to get out of this workout today? Is it meant to be heavy? No. Okay. What weight should I be looking at performing then? Okay. How do I change this to allow me to still get a really good workout in that is in line with the stimulus and therefore in line with intensity required, and therefore increases my fitness faster than just slogging through a heavy weight over and over again? All right. Have I rambled again? Does it feel like I'm rambling? Sometimes I feel like I'm rambling. Is there a risk of scaling too much? Yes, I would say that there is, but that's more, it's not necessarily got to do with, I'll bring this back up. If someone did 6 rounds today, I'd say they probably overscaled, but more so it's not a big deal as long as the intensity is still there and you're pushing with the desired intensity. But what were you missing out on? Let's say if you got 6 rounds, because if you weren't sure about the wall walks and you overscaled them, say you did 2 every round instead of 5, you've done a significant, but you completed 5 or 6 rounds of the total workout instead of the 3 or 4. That would be considered overscaling. At the end of the day, if it happens every now and then, it's not so bad. If it's regularly happening, what you'll find is your ability to increase your fitness will slow down dramatically because you can't reach the desired intensity that we are really looking for. If it's all too easy, you move through it without too much, I'm not going to say too much effort, but that's where my brain wanted to go. Moving through it without too much challenge for your body, and therefore without some healthy level of challenge, fitness will take longer to come to. Because that's a really long-winded way to say yes but no, or no but yes. There is a risk of scaling too much. Doesn't matter if it happens every now and then. That's where we learn lessons and we can go forward going, okay, as an example, last time I did 2 wall walks. I actually found them really easy. This time I'm going to do 3. So it still provides you a data feedback on your own capacity as to how you can make your next workout more appropriate to the stimulus and the intensity desired. I just wanted to finish off also, let's take that off, by saying apparently it's easy to talk for 28 minutes. So that first, the registrations for CrossFit, the 2026 CrossFit Open became live today. So what do I want? Sorry, everybody. I'm just looking for... Just sign up to the Open. I'm looking for the tab that'll take me to the 2026 CrossFit Open. I can't find it anywhere. Share this tab. Add to stage. Let's make this bigger. How big can we make it? So 6 weeks until the Open starts. That's 6 weeks of prep you can do in the lead up to the Open. Registration started today. You've got all the way up until 3 days or 4 days after the first workout's released to actually sign up for the Open. But I encourage you all to jump online, sign up to the Open, and see yourself on the leaderboard against a whole bunch of other people. What do I want to see? You can search with me to find this stuff. I should be able to find CrossFit Dauntless on here somewhere. Maybe this one. I'm yet to sign up, but that's what I'll be doing later today. I've been coaching all morning, so I haven't had a chance to sit down and do that otherwise. Gosh. Come along with me for the journey. Let's find CrossFit Dauntless. Elliot. Way to go, Elliot. Already signed up. So Elliot's a new member at the gym. I think he's been there just for the month of January. So to the rest of the members at CrossFit Dauntless, what are you waiting for? Me included, just to have some time to do it. Well done to Elliot. First one signed up before anybody else at CrossFit Dauntless. What I would say is comment below if you're not sure if you should sign up for the Open, and tell me what is worrying you about it. I'll tell you right now, I've got 2016, 2018, 2021, 22, 23, 24, 25 on here. The years that I didn't sign up for the Open, I don't know why, and I can't remember what was going on as to why I didn't. The years that I did sign up to the Open give me a much better picture of where I was at in my fitness journey at any point in time. So if we go, let's use, what's the easiest one to look at here? Rank by region. No, let's go rank by country. Well, that's confusing. Sorry, everyone. You can see my placings going rank by region. You can see my placings as the years progress. There's certain different things that happen. I can tell you this one here in 2022, my back injury. 2023, I had the ability to, the workouts were kind enough to me that on the back side of my back injury, I was able to come back and perform, I think, all of those workouts RX. 2024, we had another year where my injury had more opportunity to not fall apart on me. And then 2025, which was 12 months ago, you can see 6,570th place. I think that I remember doing 1 rep in the scaled division, and it was 1 jumping pull-up or 18 jumping pull-ups, whatever the rep range was. But that was when I dislocated my wrist 1 week before the Open started. And I'm going to be able to look back in the future on all of these numbers and remember what happened in each of these years. So if I click on them, whatever was going on in 2018, I did the first 4 workouts and I missed the following 2. So I guess you could say I can't remember there. In 2022, I did 3 wall walks. So my back couldn't handle dumbbell snatching, but it did have the capacity to do 3 wall walks in the first week. I think after that, every workout started with something that my back couldn't handle. So interesting to look back on that too. And then, yes, last year, I didn't do the first workout. I couldn't do anything there. There we go. 21 jumping pull-ups scaled, because the jumping pull-up variation was the scaled variation. So that's what I got through in 2025. I'll still be signing up this year. It's nice to see where you sit on the leaderboard, even if you don't do anything. So don't look at it like, what's the point? I can tell you right now, people pay significantly more to join a fun run or do a high rocks race, triathlon, things like that. So $20 US, I think it's about 30 Australian dollars, gets you access to the online leaderboard, gets you a history. There are some people at the gym that have signed up every single year, Foss being one of them. She could potentially be up to her 12th Open this year, so 12 years in a row of doing the Open. It's just good to look back. Don't worry about what you feel like right now. Think about what you might want to see 5 years from now. Why didn't I do that year? Why didn't I just sign up and go on the leaderboard? Why didn't I do what I can? Just because my fitness might be less than what it was once before doesn't mean that you shouldn't sign up for the Open. And on the flip side of that, maybe you're new and you're like, why would I sign up to this thing? The Open brings an opportunity for you to have a chance at attacking something new, where we will encourage you, and this is where you can throw stimulus and intensity out the window. If the workout is prescribed in an RX variation and you have the ability to do the movements, the open is the time we will tell you, go for it. Do as much of it RX as you can. If it's 1 rep and you log 1 score as RX, 1 rep, put it on the leaderboard, and then you can finish off as a scaled variation. But this will be the time where we tell you, this is the competition. We're not training right now. This is the test. If you've got the capacity to do it, why not do it? Anyway, I guess that's it for today. I'll come back on Tuesday. I'll try and be closer to 12, but it doesn't seem to happen like that. For those of you still listening on, thanks so much. I hope that at least, if anything, there was one small useful bit in there and not too much rambling coming from me. Thanks, everyone.